Carvey, first of all, what are you hearing on Dele Alli, a potential move to Everton?
Well, look, Everton are closing in on signing him from Spurs. The deal could potentially be worth up to £40 million. The medical has been booked in and he will sign a 2.5-year contract. And we're being told that Frank Lampard was absolutely key to this deal getting done. He's spoken to the player. Dele Alli feels that Frank Lampard can get the best out of him. Obviously, since Mauricio Pochettino left Spurs, Dele Alli has had a bit of a difficult relationship with the managers there, Jose Mourinho and then Antonio Conte, and he really needs a fresh start. He's been at Spurs for, 7 seasons now? And I know people think that he's lost his way, but just go back a few years, for instance, to the World Cup in Russia in 2018. He was an absolute key player for England, and he's somebody who was PFA Young Player of the Year twice when he was at Spurs. So if anybody can get the best out of Dele Alli again, you would think that it is somebody like Frank Lampard.
Anton, great to see you, by the way. Thanks for coming in. Lovely to see you. Happy deadline day to you.
You too.
What do you think of this one, Dele Alli to Everton? Is that a good fit for you?
Yeah, I think it suits all parties. I think Dele Alli's needed this for a while, a bit of change, something to get his spring in his step back. And I think the person to do that could be Frank Lampard. I mean, he's someone who played similar to Frank Lampard in terms of making late runs into the box, balls falling around the edge of the box and him coming onto them and putting the ball in the back of the net. So I think if anyone can get the best out of him, and I'm sure Dele's identified that he's the man that can do that.
That's a great point, actually, isn't it? With Lampard being a centre mid and an attacking centre mid, that is a fantastic point. That he's someone who can, potentially get that out of Alli. A lot of managers have tried doing recent times, haven't they? Not being able to get a tune out of Dele Alli, which will be, a challenge for Lampard, won't it?
Yeah, it will be a challenge, but knowing Frank Lampard, especially as a player and as a person, known him since I was like 9-10 years old, and the drive that he has within himself as a person and as a footballer when he played, and now as a manager to try to be the best and want to be the best, he'll be looking at this as a challenge to him to maybe do what others haven't been able to do, which is get the best out of Dele Alli. And if he does do that, he's got a right asset on his hand. Yeah,
Mason Mount came on an awful lot under Frank, didn't he, as well? A similar sort of attacking centre mid, so you could see maybe Dele Alli. One thing you would say is, as a player, sometimes you just need a change, don't you? And this is what Ali's going to get, going to a sort of a new look Everton under Frank Lampard, and just a fresh scenery might help him out.
Definitely. You don't become a bad player overnight. That don't happen. Someone who's achieved and done what he's done in the game at such a young age. We're forgetting he played a lot of games at a young age, which maybe caught up with him a bit. Whereas now he's going to somewhere to pastures new. He's going somewhere where he's got a manager who he can relate to in terms of playing style, and he now got a time to go into a team where he knows he's going to play. With that can breed confidence, and a confident Dele Alli is a Dele Alli that can come back, and a lot of Tottenham supporters might look at it and go, we should never have got rid of him in the first place.
Yeah, you can see that, couldn't you? I always take the mickey out of these two because they're always on the phone, right? Always getting phone calls. Anton's actually as bad as them two. The three of them all getting phone calls. I felt like the most unpopular guy in the world. I was the only one phone not ringing every few seconds. Anyway, that's Ali. Departure from Spurs, Darmesh, today. One that's fine. We've been talking about this one for a while, haven't we?
This is such an interesting one when you look at the ins and outs of Tanguy and Ndombele's stay at Tottenham Hotspur, and you've got to doff your cap to the Lyon president here, don't you, Jean-Michel Aulas? Very good, Carvey. So they sold him to Tottenham 2019 in the summer for a club record for Tottenham that was worth £63 million. Hasn't really worked out for Tanguy and Ndombele. There was talk of PSG coming in for him in this transfer window because Antonio Conte had decided, no, you're not for me, I want you to move on. There were players who were suggested as potential swaps. Antonio Conte said, no, I'm not interested. In came Lyon. And they've managed to get a deal whereby Ndombele joins on loan with the option to buy for €65 million come the end of the season. It's a great deal for Lyon. For Ndombele, it hasn't worked out for him at Tottenham, but he goes back to a club where he knows well. And let's see if he can relaunch his career again. And it's a good thing for Lyon as well, because the day after they've sold Bruno Guimaraes to Newcastle United, they've got their replacement, and it's a familiar face in Tanguy and Ndombele.
Yeah, okay, well, they've got a bit of money in the bank account as well, haven't they, Lyon, now, because of that sale to Newcastle of Bruno. And what about this one then? He's a record signing, Spurs. What do you make of him going back to France? I guess it's a league where he feels comfortable. Yeah,
it's a league that he feels comfortable in, but that lets you understand and know that the Premier League ain't for everyone. You know, you can be someone that's in another league and look fantastic, but when you come to the Premier League, it's robust. You have to be fit. You have to be able to run. You have to be able to go to depths where it hurts in terms of running. And if you are sometimes that lackadaisical player who likes to take his time on the ball, you're not going to get that in the Premier League. So maybe he's just suited to the French league. You know, it's good for him that he's going back. He can reinvent his career and himself, and said it looks like a good deal for all parties. Yeah,
be interested to see how Bruno Guimaraes gets on doing the opposite, coming into the Premier League. You know, see if he can make an impact in Newcastle. We'll speak about Newcastle in a minute, because Darvish, that's 2 outgoings for Spurs in Alli and Ndombele, but a couple of incomings that'll please Spurs fans.
Yeah, just another potential outgoing is still to be confirmed with Giovanni Lo Celso. When you look at that, a loan move to Villarreal is being mooted. If you think about it, Dele Alli, when he was at his pomp, how much he was worth, how much they actually paid for Ndombele and Lo Celso, it's the thick end of £100 million. And those 2 players are now going on loan in this transfer window. But they are trying to reinforce, and Antonio Conte is completing the deals for Dejan Kulusevski from Juventus, the Swedish international winger. It's on loan, and it comes with an option to buy at £33 million. And they're also buying, and they've bought, and it's completed, is Rodrigo Bentancur, also from Juventus. That's £20 million. He's in Uruguay at the moment for their World Cup qualifier against Venezuela tomorrow. So they had to do a remote medical, and it all got done, and it's completed. So Tottenham have got 2 new players there.
There's a few medical teams from the Premier League heading over to South America, wasn't there, the last few weeks to do medicals and so on.